Hey, Riddle here. Oh, so if you have dealt with or are aware that you have been in or are in a relationship with a narcissist, specifically a covert narcissist, what a lot of the experts will tell you is after you get them out of your life especially, that it's really not worth confronting them or approaching them for any kind of closure because they're incapable. They're so fragile and they're so they're so internally wounded and so insecure and so fragile that anything that you try to communicate with them, they take as a jab or a criticism, and it just makes them crazy. I had a dear friend that I got way too close to and became lovers with and lived with for 5 years. And it's amazing because of my background how I played right into the manipulation and the toxicity of the relationship. There was also alcoholism and sex addiction involved. Not for me. Luckily, that gene skipped me. But because my parents were alcoholics, this person was just so familiar to me. Literally, like mom and dad. So even if it was abusive or neglectful or up and down and sideways, all the red flags were there, and any healthy, secure person would have stepped away from it at the first signs of abuse or neglect. But when you come from childhood trauma or you were raised by alcoholics and suffered abuse, you really don't have, or haven't developed yet, I should say, a good people picker. And I'm going to steal the phrase from the Crappy Childhood Fairy. I highly suggest you look her up and see her videos. You choose a crap fit. A crap fit. In other words, it fits, but it's crap. So I've been trying to educate myself about how narcissism works, how they think, and not just independently, but I have a very good trauma therapist. And I didn't play doctor. I didn't bring this label up and present that label to my therapist. She actually identified this behavior in them before I even had to say anything, which was really confirming. It was very confirming to me. And the other day, I found something out and I thought it was valuable. And so another thing about when you come from a broken childhood is often you have anxious attachment style, which means you are really afraid of losing people. Even people that hurt you, you still want to remember the best parts of them, and you want to give them second, third, and fourth chances. But even more than that, I just wanted some closure. I wanted some closure. So first I reached out to this old friend because I found out I caught Lyme disease, and they spend a lot of time out in the woods. And I'm just trying to get the word out there to people that Lyme disease is a lot more prevalent. So if you have a weird fatigue and muscle or joint aches, brain fog, if you've lost your sense of smell, all of these things can be signs of Lyme disease, and if your doctor refuses to do the blood work for you, go to somebody who will, because it can have long-term horrible effects on your body. So I reached out to the narcissist just to let them know, to be careful, because I don't pretend to be a caring person. I actually am a caring person. And the conversation started out civil enough and nice enough. But then there was something I really wanted to share with this person, because I believe that they hurt and confuse a lot of people. And I know in their minds they think, well, I'm just going to move away and problem solved, because basically they blame me for everything. Their alcoholism, their sex addiction, their inability to have normal friendships that aren't sexualized or manipulating in some way or another. And this friend of mine also is a magical thinker. They follow those ambiguous metaphysical teachings, and it's what's amazing about the metaphysical community is it's just prime. That belief structure is just prime for manipulation, not taking responsibility for not only your own life or what you may be imposing on other people. And it's just full of magical thinking, and it's not just silly. It can be really manipulative and really destructive. And I wanted my friend to know that basically I can't be friends with you yet because you really hurt me, and you hurt me, and this is why you hurt me. And I showed them how I have changed my belief structure recently. Things I would say and do before, like, everything has, everyone you meet, you were meant to meet. And, when you're in a really bad situation, you're in it because you made that happen and you're learning something from it. And karma, you were born, oh, that's a good one. You were born into abuse or a certain kind of family because you did something rotten in your past life, so it's your karma. I mean, all of these new age kind of fake wisdom phrases are just either validating the abusers or giving the victim the permission not to take responsibility for their possible trauma and pain, which is always affecting their current well-being and their ability to form healthy relationships, which is the journey I'm on right now with an actual trauma therapist. So the narcissist, so I tried to present this as loving and as like, from me, this is my truth. But you can't bring truth to a narcissist. And all the professionals say, don't do this. Don't call the narc out. Don't bring them the truth. Even if it is your truth, that they're only going to look at it as, they're going to make it about them. And they're going to look at it as an insult. They're going to look at it, it's going to outrage them. Because, they know it's the truth. Yet, in order to accept it and take responsibility for it, they see that as it's making them less than perfect. It's making them flawed. You're jabbing at them. You're attacking their character. And again, they just turn it all around and make it all about them. And then they attack you and they accuse you of being the narcissist and you're the crazy one. And long story longer, that's exactly what my friend did to me. They just could not take responsibility. So, I mean, and this is what I said to them. So let's say it's just my reality. I mean, it's just what I felt. It's what I believe happened. If that person indeed was innocent, if that person indeed didn't do any of those things, then they would just be chill. They'd be like, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry if you feel that I made you feel that way, and I accept your flawed perception of me, but all I can do is listen, and I'm sorry if I hurt you. It's as simple as that. But a narcissist cannot do this. A narcissist always will be on the defense and is unable, because of their deep insecurities and their core wounds, to ever take responsibility for their actions. And I'm learning now, the 5 or 6 years that we lived together, the only reason that this person ever pretended to care or pretended to take responsibility for their actions before is because there was a financial dependency there. We were sharing a home, and it was just with their financial fragility and how difficult it is to get housing where we live. It was easier I believe, was easier for them to just kind of half-assed bullshit their way, or pretend that they actually had some type of deeper perspective, or that they were self-evolved, or they gave a shit, that they even just gave a shit. But the thing is that you learn really quickly with a narcissist, especially the covert narcissist, is that their actions never match their words. They consistently do sneaky things and fail not just their friends and their relationships, but they fail themselves often, because they are so inside, they're so childlike that they tend to be incredibly, they don't think before they act. They don't think before they speak, and they're impulsive. They're incredibly impulsive. And this is one of the reasons I believe that there is also a high degree of addiction with narcissism. I think it all goes hand in hand. And it's just amazing, back to narcissism and alternative religions, or narcissism and metaphysics, however you want to phrase it. The magical thinking that my friend consistently uses as for comfort and for reality is really just, it's quite disturbing. And I mean, we got so close that I probably know this person better than they know themselves. And I would see them like go into these relationships, and that they would tell me, as a matter of fact, this person views them this certain way and gives him these certain things. And then I would think to myself, no, actually, I have a feeling that person is just giving you that attention because you don't have boundaries, and you're a sex addict, and you're basically a slut. I'm slut shaming, but they didn't have boundaries. And so they would be incredibly without boundaries, that's like incredibly sexual. And these people were just mutually just using each other for, cheap sex, easy sex. And when, what's sad is my friend thought this person actually was interested in them and listened to them when they spoke and wanted to spend this quality time with them. But really that was just a guise to get to the crazy sex. And it was funny because to me, it was so obvious. And then I just remember my narcissistic friend telling me, like, literally that, oh, this person is so cool and they really take the time to listen to me and respect what I say and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And then they have sex. But one day this person reached out to my friend and literally said to them, hey, could we do less talking and more screwing? So that's what's so sad about the narcissist, is they make up these fantasies in their head about how people perceive them, and often there's nothing to substantiate it except magical thinking. And basically it was very painful to watch that my friend would always choose, or try to choose, people to have sex with that were unavailable, basically. Like, they were down for sex, but they were in another marriage, they were in another relationship. There was something about it that he never had to complete intimacy, major intimacy issues. And, or as soon as someone would, start thinking, wow, we're doing all this crazy sex and we're hanging out, we're spending all this time together, the normal human emotion is that you want more. You want to get together with the person on a more quality level. Maybe you want to go on an intimate camping trip. Maybe you want more of a commitment. But as soon as it got to that point, the relationship was always destroyed. Always destroyed. Another thing about my narcissistic relationship, my narcissistic friend, is even when there was an addictive level of sex going on, I mean, marathon, I don't know, we can give you the number of hours and how crazy it was, but still always had to have a bunch of other people on the hook. Always had to, could never, they were literally, a narcissist is a black hole of need, and especially the need for attention, and they call this source. They always have to have source. So if if you're not playing into their power issues, or as soon as you bring any truth to the table, or there's not enough drama around to fuel that source, or you're not giving them the endless attention they need, or even if you are, they still always have all these other people. And that's why, the internet and all these dating websites are so gross. Is because it's so easy for people to get that narcissistic fuel from all of these admirers, because you can make yourself look so much better or so different than you actually are, and you can pretend to be anything you want to be, and these people will message you and tell you how hot you are and how much they want you. And to a narcissist, this is real. This is validating. Like, they take it seriously, and they need that. They need that to complete them, because they're so deeply wounded and so insecure that no matter how much love you give them, no matter how loyal you are to them, no matter how hard you try to bring truth and stability into a relationship or into their lives, or show them how or why they can trust you, they will always make you the enemy, and they will always, at some point, disrespect you, make you feel like you're worthless, make you feel like you have motives, and they will discard you. They will discard you. And that's what happened to me. I was kind of discarded, but it's happened to me so many times with this friend that I'd finally, because I was so sick with the Lyme disease, I finally had enough. I just could not deal with it anymore. And so when we got really close again, and I thought, things were great, and then out of nowhere, they just abandoned me, pushed me out of the way, and completely focused on their new source, somebody who was so young and had so many of their own issues that they were prime battery for this narcissist. And it was so sad, because even as they were supposedly, in the middle of this monogamous-ish relationship, they would drink and they would come after me for sex. And I had a witness to this, so I just felt so bad for this younger person that my narcissistic friend was had sucked into their web. And that's what really kind of gave me the strength to say, wow, this is never going to be good. And this is going to never be normal. Another thing my friend used to do to me is total strangers. Like, you know how sometimes you're just out in public and someone's just an asshole. And I'm not, I have no problem defending myself. But there were many situations in life and here and there. And my friend would always take even a complete stranger's side. They would always defend and bring it back. Oh, you, meaning me, you must be drawing that negative behavior to you because, your energy, and because of your energy, it's radiating some boo, or it was just ridiculous, and would consistently make me question my goodness, my reality, my perspective. Like, a friend doesn't do that. A friend doesn't play with your mind like that. This is a way that people manipulate you, and they break you down so they have more control over you. What else can I tell you? Yeah, that's a lot of it. That's a lot of what I can remember. Oh, so finally, so I told everyone you could set the timer to my friend's relationship with the young person. And so as soon as I saw that they were breaking up, as soon as they had gotten together, because basically this young person had a really good heart, and because they were in their early to mid 20s, they wanted a relationship. So the narcissist strung them along, and they will never ever take responsibility for this, but they did the classic, they went and got the HIV test, so they could have unsafe sex, and these other things that would give someone the signal that they perhaps were doing these things to form a relationship. But then basically when the kid wanted him to spend the night, or wanted to those normal boyfriend kind of things or relationship kind of things, my friend was like, oh no, sorry. Oh no, I could never. You're too young, you're too this, you're too that. And no longer, were they a good source, because they wanted intimacy. And narcs can't do intimacy. They can pretend intimacy. They love to pretend intimacy because, it showcases what an amazing lover they are and what an amazing person they are. And it's really normal for a narc, overt or covert, to do something exceptional when you're in a relationship with them sexually. They want you to remember them, and they want to have that I was the first, or they want to have that badge of honor, or that power, or that control. And it can be really, really confusing, because usually people have boundaries, and usually people don't go there until you have trust and you're forming some type of relationship. So it can be incredibly painful, and it can be completely confusing, because in a normal circumstance, either, a person would wait much longer to do that, or you wouldn't do these type of things unless you were in a more committed, a more intimate relationship. I hope that makes sense. But was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, and I finally had the strength to ask my friend to leave, was my friend, the narcissist, could never give a compliment. Meaning 9 times out of 10, if I cooked dinner, there was no thank you. There was no this is delicious. Not even those basic civilities. if I was, I'm an artist, and if I was creating something, I'd make something really cool, like some funky mask or something. And my friend would put on the mask and take pictures of themselves or have me take pictures of them. And if it was about them, well, yeah, but they would never say, Riddle, oh, that's really cool. Oh, neat. Like a normal reaction to something cool is to have some kind of reaction. But my friend was so deeply wounded and so insecure that they could never just give a compliment when it was appropriate. Another thing my narcissist did was when I tried to do something good, normal good, they would turn it around and tell me that, oh, you're just doing that because you can hold it over my head, so you can use that against me. So like birthday party. Narcissists notoriously don't have friendships. Sometimes they'll have friendships, but the friendships you'll notice a lot of times are long distance friendships, but they don't have those day-to-day friendships. And their friends usually have to work a little harder at contacting them. Narcissists don't put a lot of work into that past, using them as flying monkeys, which means getting validation from them when they're having problems being confronted by truth by someone like me. So when I noticed after this whole string of events and this 5 years of just insanity and drama and just soul-sucking bullshit, and one day I was making something really cool and, my friend just looked over at me like I had just pooped a turd out of my butt. And I realized that, it was just such a toxic environment. Nobody deserves to be exposed to that and live like that and be treated that way. Be treated because I can honestly say, yes, I was obsessive. Because of my background, I definitely have anxious attachment style. And when I perceive I have a connection with somebody and I trust somebody, I automatically go a little overboard and really, really want to consume that person and that relationship. But, I think my narcissistic friend could really sense that vulnerability in me. And, the neglect and the hot and cold and the breadcrumbing and everything, the controlling of the relationship and the inconsistency was so familiar to me because of the neglect and alcoholism that that my parents perpetuated. And so the good news is that I did have the strength to finally get this person out of my life. And I did finally find a really good trauma therapist that's making me very aware of my behavior. Why did I choose to have a relationship with this person? And what are my behaviors now that could possibly, make me repeat this behavior and bring another narcissist into my life, for God's sake? So it's important that you take responsibility for your actions. It can't be all blaming the narcissist, because ultimately you chose that person and there's a reason that you chose that person and stayed in that relationship, possibly. But that being said, don't think that you will ever have closure or normal communication with a narcissist, especially after you have gotten them out of your life. Because you're going to feel, after 5 or 6 years, I felt a great loss, even with all the neglect, even with all the abuse. Yeah, there were lots of good times. And I don't just throw people away. And naively, I thought I would be able to reach out to this person and say, I want you to understand, this is how you hurt me. This is what you did. And they just can't accept it. They freak out. They get aggressive. They turn everything I say around on me as if I'm the narcissist, and just I'm jabbing them, I'm criticizing them. Again, they can't help but to do those two things, make it all about them, and they can't process or take responsibility for their actions in a normal way. And they can't communicate or feel empathy in a normal way. So if you were thinking of confronting your narcissist, you probably will not get the satisfaction that you're hoping for. For me, the experience was awful. It dysregulated me for several days. Even though I know I did the right thing, I went into it with some weird goal, which I'm not sure what my weird goal was, but I really thought that I could have a friendship out of this, that this person might care. They might just want to hear, like, why did I ask them to move? Like, why can't we be friends? But no, they're still living in a complete fantasy world, and they will never take responsibility for the pain that they cause people. So save your breath. If you're doing it just to get a lick in, again, it's just going to work you up. It's just going to dysregulate you. And it's best if you just write it out in a letter and burn it in a fire. And that's my narc experience. Okay, bye.